welcome back to the Camp Chronicles podcast. As you can see, I'm in a bit of a different background because I'm currently in Long Island, New York.
Very, very, very jealous right now.
Yeah, so I am actually doing a surprise this weekend. I'm surprising my campers, and I'm staying at my division leader's 2 summers ago house, and her son just came downstairs, and I was having a conversation, weren't we?
Yeah.
And it turns out Alex knows a lot of Ellen's campers.
Which is really weird. Like, I think it's such a small world. Everyone at some camp seems to always have some sort of connection with people at other camps, isn't it?
It's absolutely wild. So today we are going to be talking about things that we do at camp that we don't do at home. And when we sat and kind of debriefed before we started the podcast, we found out that there's quite a lot. So it's going to be a fun episode.
There's just like loads of random little things that I feel like are part of normal everyday life at camp that just are not part of everyday life at home. So like the first kind of main one for me is performing. So dancing with the staff I took part in. You take part in like talent shows where you literally just like on stage and you're performing either to all the kids, all the staff, or the whole of camp, don't you? It's crazy.
Yeah, like during orientation, we have Camp Chella, so it's kind of a knockoff Coachella, and everybody does loads of different performances. But then when you're actually at camp, the performances for the staff don't just stop there. We also get to have fun. I remember in my cadet summer, so that was my second summer with my girls. I think they were ages 9 to 10 at that point. We actually done a lip sync battle, but it wasn't the kids that done it, it was the adults, like the counsellors. And we kind of had like 3 hours to make up a performance. So my division, they were like, who wants to do it? And a few of us said, I'll do it. And then I was a bit nervous because it was in front of like the whole of lower camp, like boy side as well. And I was like, do you know what it is? Where else am I gonna strut my stuff, get on stage and do a lip sync performance in front of all of lower camp? So we ended up performing to the Spice Girls, Wannabe, and we all had like our own part in it. It was the rap that I done,
Oh
the bit in
god,
the
the
middle.
quick bit.
And like we all strutted from the back of the social hall down like the middle part, went on stage, done this performance. We all had like black cowgirl boots on. I think it was a black tank top, black shorts on. And like when I was doing it, I just didn't even feel like I was in the room. I kind of just zoned out. Do you know when people say like, imagine the audience isn't there? That's what I done. And then somebody videoed it for us and we watched it back and it was actually insane.
Isn't it funny though? Like, I would literally never do anything like that at home. Like, the thought of getting up on a stage in front of probably hundreds of people and doing that is terrifying. Like, we do dancing with the staff at my camp, so it'll be like one camper and one staff member get paired together. Usually, like, you have about 3 or 4 days to come up with a dance and then you perform it as during an evening activity for the whole of camp. And like my first summer, I remember watching thinking there is no way in hell I would ever contemplate doing anything like that. And then my second summer I went back and Carl was like, right, we're needing up a camp female staff member. Ellen, do you want to do it? And I was like, give I have to. But then so I did it, and my dance partner was Jake, and we did Ho Down Throw Down by Hannah Montana into Down by Jay Sean. So really we only had to come up with half a dance. We just had to learn Ho Down Throw Down. But I just like remember going up onto the stage and like they have it like set up like a proper stage as well, where there's like lights beating down on you. You literally can't see any of the crowd. And I don't know, that kind of made me more stressed out that I couldn't see them, because I was like, I'd rather be able to like find a few faces in the crowd that I know and kind of like jokingly perform to them. Whereas I literally felt like I was just performing to darkness.
It's so exhilarating though, isn't it? Like when you get off stage, like you just like can't believe that you've just performed in front of the whole of camp. And
Yeah.
then afterwards people come up and like, that was such a good performance. And then like, it boosts your confidence, doesn't it?
It does, to be fair. And this year as well, we do like a ninth versus 10th grade fashion show. So there's like all these different categories, and ninth graders have to find people to go up on stage dressed up like that category, and then the 10th graders do. And one of the categories was to be Jeff and Cindy, who are the camp directors. So me and my boyfriend James went up for the 10th graders being Jeff and Cindy, and like it just felt so weird, like just like strutting down the catwalk basically. And then for the staff talent show this year as well, all the lead counsellors decided to play the recorder. So we played Twinkle Twinkle Little Star on the recorder straight into Baby Shark as well. So now I've got Baby Shark on the recorder stuck in my brain forever.
Did you know how to play the recorder before that, or did you just learn on the spot?
I'd played it in like year two. I don't know. Did you learn to do it in school? Yeah. So I'd like done it when I was in school, and then we just were like, oh, maybe we should play an instrument. Like that would be something different because usually everyone just does like dances and stuff. So I was like, what about the recorder? That's easy. So Madden ordered a pack of like 20 recorders on Amazon. It was like $1 each or something like that. And then I just like YouTubed a video of like the finger placement and stuff, and it's like do 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 do, do. And then we performed.
Wait, for Christmas, I'm gonna buy you a recorder, and then you've got to come on the podcast and do us a little performance. Maybe you can do a like recorder intro and outro for us for the podcast.
I can take over the normal intro outro sound. It'll just be me like on the
I
recorder.
wish I knew this special talent beforehand, and that's what we could have done.
I know, I could have used it. But I think it's just like random things like that, isn't there? Like no day is the same at camp. You're always doing random crazy things.
No, I bet like you didn't expect to be doing a performance on a recorder. Like
Definitely not.
I never guessed you were gonna say that, to be honest. I think I saw your TikTok the other day of you all practicing to do like the recorder.
Uh-huh.
You just went on to do it, and I was like, this girl.
I know, crazy random things. And that's like another thing as well though. It's kind of just like being up, like not always on a stage, but just like speaking to like such big groups of people. Like that's something that used to make me like literally queasy. But now that I've been doing it for 3 summers at camp, I feel like I'm a lot more used to it now.
No, I agree. I'm the same. This year for our breakout for Sing,
Hmm.
we got all the girls together, and our theme was Pirates of the Caribbean.
Ooh.
So the way that me and my division leader broke it out was that we ran all the way down the hill where water ski is,
Mhm.
jumped on a boat, like one of the water ski boats, and went out into the middle and started having like a noodle fight. But
That's
before that,
sick.
we had to figure out how we were going to get the kids down the bank.
Mm.
So we came up with this idea that what we were going to do is one of the water ski guys, Owen, he stole our canteen cards.
Hmm.
So I had to get all the girls up to canteen. I had to sit them all down on the grass. And I can't remember what I said, but I
Hmm.
made this whole like speech up about them like not being very good and how
Oh.
the shouldn't get the canteen card. So they were like really worried, and it was trying to like throw them off the scent because
Yeah.
the sing breakout was coming. And then Owen like stole the cards off us and ran down the hill. But the speech, I was like so nervous beforehand because I was just like gonna free it, like just
Just
make
like
something really random up. But I had like all of the girls sat down like in front of me and all of the counsellors around them, and I was like, this
Mhm.
is actually quite nerve wracking because I'm not
Mhm.
really used to speaking in front of everybody. But then that also takes it to like on a morning doing the morning meetings when I ran the
Mm.
division, and like I had to sit them all down and like do a big speech in front of them and be like, this is the plan, this is this and that. And then I just couldn't imagine like going into a meeting back home at work
Mhm.
and like running the meeting myself. Whereas I
Mhm.
just feel like at camp, it's just such a normal thing to do.
Yeah, it happens. I feel like it happens so much more naturally at camp. Like you just kind of push into that position and it's like, well, you have to do it. This is, I guess this is kind of public speaking, but do you do like big sister and little sister at your camp? So like the older girls will get paired with like one of the younger
Yeah.
ones and it's like their big sister and their little sister. It was either this year or last year. I actually can't remember. Ellie, who's like in charge of like all the lower camp girls, she was like, do you want to read out like the parents for the big and the little sister? And I was like, oh god. But then I was like, do you know what, yeah, sure, it's fine, it's just like all of girls side, it'll be fine. And I struggled so bad with reading the names out because the names, people's names aren't obscure or anything like that, but a lot of the American surnames are completely different to surnames that we've got here. And I think I butchered about 90% of the names. And I would like kind of like say a name and then Ellie would have to like repeat it in our American accent so they actually knew who was being said. Or like I'd be looking at this bit of paper and I was like, what's this name? I can't like I couldn't say it. So that bit of public speaking at camp I still really don't like. Trying to pronounce names that I just don't know how to pronounce.
I'm like that at work now though, when I've got to like call someone's like parents.
Mm.
I'm like, what if I say their names wrong? Like, and their surnames are so simple, but I just feel like, especially with our accent as well.
Yeah.
So, for instance, my division leader this year, she's called, I can't even say it properly because of my accent, but like I called her Dara.
Wait,
But
I've got I had a Dara in my bunk. I had the
but what?
exact same problem.
But how would they pronounce her name?
It was like Dara.
Dara. Yeah.
Yeah,
Like it just
Dara.
literally wouldn't come out of my mouth like that, and I always felt so bad. But I
Yeah,
just can't, like, I can't help it because it's just like it's the difference between the accents. We
the
are saying
accent.
it the same. It's
Yeah.
just the accent.
Yeah, that's really reminded me as well actually. So for the 10th and 11th grade on a Sunday there's like a big camp kind of service thing and we do pick of the week. So pick is like the oldest girls that are privileged in camp and obviously like I was the pick lead so I would do a speech each week for all the girls. So I'd like obviously like read their names out and I just hated saying it because again like you were saying in our accents it sounds so wrong. So when Dara got pick of the week and I had to say her name, I was like, oh god. I was like, I just said it like so quick. I was like,
It's because like
Dara.
if you try and say their name, you'll just automatically do an American accent. If you try and
Mhm.
say it the right way, won't you?
And it just sounds wrong. It sounds so weird, doesn't it?
Yeah, but that was like totally off topic, wasn't it? Talking about names.
It's
But
true though, that is something I really struggled with.
no, I totally agree. But I feel like just naturally at camp, things like public speaking and performing
Hmm.
just come so naturally with the confidence that you gain during orientation, doesn't
Yeah.
it?
And that is just not something that I would never do at home.
Do you know what I was thinking about as well? I don't know if you've been watching I'm a Celeb at the moment, the jungle.
Mm-hmm.
But this is something that I would never do at home. But I feel like I'll just do it at camp. Is like if I see a spider at camp in like the bunk and the girls are
Hmm.
freaking out, I'll just go over and pick it up and just like throw it out.
Yeah.
Whereas at home, if I see a spider, oh my god, literally screaming.
Freaking out.
I was at work the other day and there's like the place is like a maze and I was walking to go and like collect one of the children from class
Hmm.
and I saw the biggest spider I've ever seen in my whole entire life. And I had to go and find one of the teachers that was on PPA to come and get the spider. But if I was at camp and that was
You
in
would
the
do
book,
it.
I would have fully just picked it up and thrown it out.
I feel like when you're at camp though, you're in like mother mode, aren't you? You're like,
Yeah,
these are my
that's it.
kids and I've got to protect them from everything. So yeah, I'm not really too fussy with like bugs and things like that. Like, I actually honestly find them quite fascinating because the bugs at camp are like an ant at home compared to an ant at camp. The ants at camp are like mutant. They're like, I swear they're about 10 times the size of a normal ant at home. And I actually find it quite interesting being like, what are these ants getting here that they don't get at home to make them so huge?
Did you ever have at camp where like it had been raining or something and like there'd
Mm.
just be a massive cluster of like millions of ants?
Oh, it's
Did you
gross,
ever
isn't it?
did you ever have that? I
Yeah.
remember we were walking back from I think we were walking back from the dining hall and one of the kids like stopped and was staring and I was like, what are they looking at? So I went over and I
Mm.
was like, what are you looking at? And I looked down and it was just like there must have been like 300
Million
ants
ants.
all running around and I was like,
Oh.
oh, I was like, I'm going to think about that in my nightmare tonight. But yeah, that's something that I would never do at home. But like at camp, I just go into mother mode. I like just get rid of all the insects. Whereas
Hmm.
at home, I am the one that's screaming the place down.
Yeah. You're freaking out from the spiders. It
No.
kind of like makes me think as well about obviously being in the bunk and stuff and with the kids, right? The girls doing shaving parties. Now, my kids didn't really do shaving parties to the extent that like other like younger bunks would do, where they'd get like a bucket, they'd fill it with water, and they'd all sit on the porch and they'd all shave their legs. Whereas my cabin, we had out the back just like an outdoor tap. So literally all we'd do is like we'd be standing there and just like with shorts and like sports bras, we'd have shaving foam like smothered all up our legs, and we'd be shaving my legs outside because the showers are so small and they don't have like the adjustable heads that if you want to shave your legs without washing your hair, it's nigh on impossible to do in those showers. So the best way that we found to do it would just be to use the hose outside, and then it meant we only had to get our legs wet. I would never shave my legs outside at home.
No.
Never.
Imagine your neighbour just walks through their garden and looks over and they just see you with a hose shaving your legs, and it's
Yeah,
so strange,
I'd
wouldn't
be
it?
so confused.
But that's so funny because I obviously have had lower camp,
Yeah,
so I have been and seen the whole shaving parties,
yeah.
the water. I remember my cadet summer, so that was like the second year I had my kids. I walked out on the porch and one of them was shaving their legs.
Mhm.
And I was like, oh my God, like I don't know what to do. Are they meant to be shaving their legs? And
Mhm.
panicked. So then I like went outside and shaved my legs with them because I didn't want them to do it on their own. But like, it's just part of camp, isn't it? And it's something
Mhm.
like all the girls do, and it's like something fun to do together. But I kind of feel like I prefer when they do it outside, just so I can make sure like everyone's okay and they're not
Yeah.
like don't have a cut on the leg or anything. That's it. But like, just think for us how difficult it is for like us in them showers as well
Mhm.
to like be able to be able to shave because there's just such small cubicles. Like usually the kids will find me in the bathroom with my leg up on the sink,
I've done that one
like
before as well.
trying to quickly shave my legs
Yeah.
while I've got the chance, and they're like, "What are you doing?" And I'm like, "Just quickly shave my legs in the sink," because like I just can't. Even though I'm 5'1", I just can't for the life of us find a way to shave my legs in the shower comfortably.
Because like at home, I would sit like it's like a shower bath. I would just sit down on the bottom, shave my legs, sitting down, and it's fine. You would not catch me dead sitting down in the showers at camp. No way.
Oh,
Actually, and that's another thing. Talking about the showers, when would you ever wear shoes in the shower at home? You wouldn't.
right.
At camp, you need to wear shower flip flops, or you need to wear your Crocs, or you need to wear something like that, don't you?
That's it. Like they are gross if you think about
Mhm.
it. Like for me, there's 10 kids in
Mhm.
the bunk. They all go in the shower before the counsellors get to go in the shower. Then you've got to think there's another like 4 counsellors to go in. You might be
Mhm.
the last one in the shower.
You don't
It's
want to be
like
in there.
no, it's gross. So like
Mhm.
yeah, shower flip flops are so important to pack
Mhm.
because you do not want your feet touching the bottom of that shower, or else God
Mhm.
knows what you'll catch.
Yeah, and I didn't bring any my first year, and I was so I know, I brought my Crocs with us though, so I just wore my Crocs. But then I had the problem of showering, wearing my Crocs, and then like the Crocs would get like waterlogged, and I'd just be trailing water all over the cabin. So I very quickly was like, okay, I need to buy some flip flops, and got some flip flops from Walmart.
That's something as well. Like you'll very rarely walk through the bunk like with barefoot, will ya?
Yeah, no
Just because
way.
no,
Did
you
you
don't need
get
to.
did you ever have a little like mat to put next to your bed for like if you do get like when you get like dirt in your feet?
No, but that's such a good idea.
So
I've
like
never thought of that.
loads of the kids have like little mats, but are basically like bath mats nearly, and you just buy them, and it's like just like having a little rug, and like obviously like you were saying, you don't really walk around barefoot, but for example, like I will spend 90% of my days wearing Crocs, so dirt does get in the little holes in your
Yeah,
Crocs and stuff. So when you do take your shoes off, you've got like dirty feet. I'll just sit and like just scrub the dirt off on my rug, and that rug was disgusting by the end of the summer. Not only because of me though, but also like I'm on the bottom bunk here. I've got whoever's on the top bunk. I had Grace here, and I had Avery and Avery on this side of me here as well, and everyone else that would come over and sit on my bed. That rug was gross by the end of the summer.
well that's it though, isn't it? Like, could you ever imagine having a rug next to your bed at home to
Not
like
for me to
where you
wipe me
sleep
feet
on?
on.
No, that's
Not a
so
chance
funny.
in hell.
I've never heard of that before.
Oh, have you not? Do your kids not have them?
Nah,
That's bizarre. Like literally nearly every single one of mine had one.
I might invest in one because
Yeah.
there's nothing worse than when I get on my bed and then all the kids jump on the bed as well, and
Dirty feet.
all my covers are like covered in grass and stuff like that.
Hmm.
It's oh,
Yeah.
Oh,
Are you a Croc person actually? Because that's another thing. Like I will spend like 90% of my days wearing Crocs at camp if I can, as long as we've got no sports where I have to wear me sneakers. I will spend 90% of my time in my Crocs.
controversial, especially for summer camp. I am
Mm,
not a Croc person. I don't own Crocs. I very ever rarely at camp use them. I mean, there was the odd time I would borrow one of my campers'
mm,
Chloe's if I was just running somewhere. I'd be like, "Oh,
mm,
Chloe, can I quickly put your Crocs on?" Just because I didn't want to put my sneakers on,
mm.
and then I couldn't find like my like sandals. I take like Birkenstock style sandals,
Yeah, I've
rather
got
than
me breaks.
Crocs. So I would like quickly put them on, and I just don't find them comfortable. Like I feel like I'm just walking on the floor still. So
Yeah,
I
that's
just
fair.
never invested in a pair. Maybe this summer coming,
Might
I'll
get the
invest
summer.
in my first pair of Crocs. Maybe we should bring out a gibbet at
Oh my
camp.
god, Camp
Gibbet.
Chronicles gibbet. It needs to be like a flashy one. You know, you get those gibbets where like every step you take, it's got a light in it and the light like
Yeah.
flashes. I want one of them
Have
that
you seen
says
the
the Camp
ones?
Chronicles.
A lot of the boys on like boy side would have like
Hmm.
flashlight ones.
Yeah, one of my co's had them.
Yeah.
That is so good. I love them. I think Crocs for me are a camp staple. I do actually, to be fair, I do wear them a lot at home still. They're just easy to just slip on, but I would never wear them at work. And obviously, when you're at camp, you are working, so that's my piece on Crocs.
But can you imagine like turning up to work, like to do a shift,
Mm,
and you're like, I don't know, like you're getting everybody's groceries and stuff, and you're just
yeah.
found in Crocs.
I know if anyone saw me at Asda wearing Crocs, I'd be like, "What is she doing?" I know for some professions, people do wear Crocs. Like some like nurses and stuff wear
Yeah.
Crocs, and like people that are like chefs and work in kitchens and things wear Crocs. But when has anybody ever seen someone working at Asda wearing Crocs?
No, that's it. But talking about like camp staple items, let's talk about a
Mm,
camp tradition. I don't know if your camp do this,
mm,
but we do bagel toss on a Sunday. Well, boys' side do it every week,
no.
but we like join in during colour war. So
Mm,
basically, all, boys' side will stand at the top of the hill, and they're
mm,
like, there's a rock at the bottom next to the boys' HC, and they're
mm.
like all toss a bagel, and they'll see who gets the bagel closest to the rock. Can you imagine being at home and watching out
Throwing
your window
bagel.
people tossing bagels at a rock?
That would just not happen. Is there an objective? Like, are they gonna win anything if they get the closest, or is it just for pride?
They win points during colour war.
Ah,
But I don't know why they do it on a Sunday. Maybe that's something I should ask actually. I'll have to
yeah.
ask later why they actually do it because it's so random. But it's been like a
Mm.
camp tradition for years to do it.
Do you do them have watermelon eating competitions as well?
No.
Again, not something I've ever seen happen at home, but like on the 4th of July, they'll have a watermelon eating competition where you'll have like half or a quarter of a watermelon on the table, and there's usually like 8, 9, 10 kind of volunteers that are doing it, and they have to have their hands behind their back, and their whole faces are literally just smushed in this watermelon, and you've just got to eat the watermelon without using your hands until like all the red is gone. It did get a little bit heated this year, I will say. In fact, it gets quite heated every year. But yeah, that's something I would never see happen at home.
Are we talking like big watermelon slice?
Yeah, like legitimate like half like imagine a whole big American sized watermelon, like a big watermelon, not a little measly UK watermelon. And then they just like cut it in half or maybe quarters, it might be quarters. So it's like big and they've just got to munch their way through it.
Oh my god, yeah. If I
Yeah.
saw that at home, I would be like, what
What?
is going on?
Literally. That's another thing actually. A big thing is there's a lot of food things that I eat at camp that I probably don't eat at home. Like Oreos at camp are the staple snack. So we get milk and cookies on a night after evening activity before the lower camp go up to bed and stuff. I'm not a milk drinker anyway, so I never drink the milk. But I'll always go for the cookies, and it's usually Oreos. And never, ever, ever do I buy Oreos at home, but I'll eat them every night at camp, happily.
Yeah, the kids, especially on like when you're going on your days off and stuff, they'll be like, "Oh, get Oreos," because they just like love them.
Oreos and goldfish.
I was just about to say, does your camp
Goldfish.
have an obsession with goldfish as well?
Uh-huh. We do. like one of the meals for lunch is grilled cheese, and then they'll do like some sort of like tomato soup, and there's always goldfish. And they used to do they used to do the goldfish, you know, when you get like the mini packets of it. But the kids would just end up grabbing about 10 packets each and just hiding them in a bag and taking them up to the cabins. So rather than having the mini packets of goldfish out now, they obviously just buy like the big tubs of them and just pour them out into like a big tray. The kids go wild for goldfish.
They do. This summer we would always say, because the kids were always hungry. I don't know what it is about camp, but they're always.
Yeah.
And the joke during our march this year was that Dara's backpack was always stocked, and it would be
Full
that
of
she would
gold.
be like, the backpack would be stocked full of packets of goldfish because the kids would want it constantly. And as soon as one person got a packet of goldfish, there would just be a
Mhm.
line of kids that wanted them.
It's a camp staple, isn't it? Goldfish and Oreos, they're like, I feel like total camp staples.
What about Chips Ahoy as well?
Oh, yeah, to be fair, it would usually rotate between like Chips Ahoy and Oreos on a night. Mostly Oreos, but yeah, Chips Ahoy, that's a solid one. And another thing that I'd usually will always eat at camp, they always on a Wednesday do barbecue. Every single Wednesday we get barbecue. So at home, I don't know, like you only have barbecues in the summer really, and even if I have a barbecue in the summer at home, it's not very often. Whereas at camp, I'm eating like a double cheeseburger, sometimes I'm getting my hot dog, I'm always getting sweet, like going on the carb and stuff. Every single week I'll have barbecue. That does not happen at home.
That's so funny because a Wednesday is our barbecue day as well.
Universal barbecue day. It's
But
Wednesday.
what I will say though is I'm happy I'm off on a Wednesday because I'm not a
Mm.
fan of the barbecue.
Do you not like it?
This girl does not know what that meat is.
No, fair enough. Fair enough. But barbecue day, you get crisps as well. Like
Yeah,
we always
that's
get
true.
crisps with barbecue, crisps and pop,
We
or
get
chips and soda.
we get usually when you go, it's like a burger, there's hot dogs,
Mm.
there's corn on the cob,
Hmm.
there's like ready salted Lay's, which is
Mm.
Walkers, isn't it?
Yeah, yeah, yeah.
And then watermelon as well.
That's yeah, we have watermelon. I don't like watermelon myself, but yeah, we have watermelon as well at camp on barbecue days. So that's good.
That's so funny, but yeah, it's not something
Mm.
we do every day in the UK, is it?
No. And you were saying before about bagel toss and how it's like kind of part of colour war. Colour war in general as well. That's not something you take part in every day at camp. The closest thing you can really compare colour war to, and it's not even a close comparison, is like sports day at school, isn't
I
it?
was literally, I feel like we read each other's minds sometimes because when you started talking about colour war there, I was thinking about sports day and
Sports
you
day.
literally said it. You've done it a few times on the podcast to like this episode. I've been thinking about something and you've said it.
And I've said it.
Like, our brains have
Psychic.
connected now.
Literally, it's like sports day but on roids. Like it's just insane. Like maybe we could probably do a whole episode talking about colour war and what it actually is and our different experiences with it. But it's just like imagine a crazy sports day at school, except it's not just sports, and the sports that are taken part in are just very, very, very competitive. And it'll also include lots of random other things, basically.
Yeah. Like the most random activities you can even think of.
That
That's what
links back to the performing as well, like some of like colour war with having like sing and having like we do like homecoming skits and stuff like that. Everything circles back around to performing and public speaking at camp.
No, it does 100%. But
Mm.
just another thing, like obviously, it's like pretty obvious, but
Mhm.
something you do at camp that you don't do at home is like live with so many people.
Yeah, that's so true. That's a big one, isn't it?
Like I didn't even think of it before, but I've just thought there, like
Mm.
that's just not normal. I mean, obviously, when you're at uni, like
Mm.
university, you live with loads of people, but you have your own room.
Mhm.
Whereas at camp, like it's just one big room with, however many campers and however many counsellors. And it's
Yeah.
just actually when you think about it, like it's such a strange concept, isn't it?
It is. Like you're sleeping in bunk beds with a bunch of strangers that are also staff members that you're working alongside that you only met and have known for like a week, and then you all of a sudden are going to have like up to 15 something kids rock up and be sleeping in that same cabin with you every night for the next like 7 8 weeks. It's such a random concept.
It is, isn't it? And I know, like, my first summer during orientation, they haven't done this again, but
Hmm.
we've got, like, it's called the lodge, and it's where
Hmm.
like all of the teens and CITs live.
Yeah.
And like my first summer during orientation, they put all of us in the lodge for like
Oof.
2 days. So
Yeah.
like every single girl counsellor was in this lodge. So can you imagine on it, like everybody's suitcases all over,
That's a
like
lot.
all of the rooms are obviously filled with all the
Hmm.
counsellors. So like getting around your bed and stuff was just a nightmare because it was so messy, especially if there was
Hmm.
events and stuff like that. Obviously everybody was sharing like the same bathroom, and there's only
Yeah.
like three toilet stalls and two showers for every like little section of the lodge. So can you imagine how like crazy that would be?
I feel like that would be a lot. I mean, the most that I've ever had in my like orientation bunk, I think, was me and maybe another 5 or 6 people. So I can't even imagine how chaotic it would have been. Yeah, like you're saying with everyone's stuff, because you do pretty much live out of your suitcase during orientation, don't you? There's no point in unpacking if it's not the bunk that you're going to be staying in for the rest of the summer. So I can imagine that would just be like total chaos.
It was, and then obviously because everybody was like using the toilets and stuff like that, and like camp
Hmm.
hadn't ran for 10 months, so
Yeah.
the water system wasn't back up and running properly. I don't know if you've had
Ooh.
that issue at camp.
Speaking of water systems not running, how many times have you ever had to unclog a toilet at home?
Or like never.
Never. And at camp, I feel like it's nearly an every other day or at least an every weekly occasion. There'll be a black toilet that you have to use the plunger and unclog.
No, like literally, it's something you should like get trained in orientation to do if you've
Hmm.
never done it before, because it's
Hmm.
guaranteed you will have to do it at least once.
Have you had power cuts at camp because of storms as well?
We've had power cuts because of storms. We've had on the 4th of July, I think it was my first summer, 4th of
Hmm.
July, they were doing some work next to Arts and Crafts.
Hmm.
And like on that bank next to Arts and Crafts is where everybody sits to watch the fireworks.
Hmm.
Well, they were doing work there and they cut the power cable at Arts and Crafts.
No.
So, as all of the fireworks were going off and stuff like that, and it was getting
Hmm.
darker, the whole of camp just had no lights, no
Oh God.
electricity, nothing. So, you can imagine you can't flush the toilets or anything like that.
Yeah.
So, like, all the kids are panicking, being like, we're going to have to, like, pee outside and stuff like that. And I'm like, no, you're not peeing outside.
That's exactly what I was thinking about there because the power cuts at camp, the electricity goes off and then the water goes off. And there's like obviously there's like a reserve amount of water that you can use, but um this is not to put anybody off going to camp. It's all character building, it's all part of the fun. At the time it feels traumatic, but the next day it's like actually hilarious to think about. There was like a storm and it lasted, it felt like all day, and it was my night off. Thankfully the electricity and stuff came on just before I was due to go off, so we still managed to get on my night off. But it got to the point where the toilets couldn't be flushed. People need to go to the toilet. Like if you need to go to the toilet, you've still been eating all day, you're gonna have to go to the toilet. So the kids were going to the toilet in the cabin still, but they couldn't flush them, so they were just filling up. They were having they were having to go to the pool and fill buckets of water in the pool to pour into like the cistern bit in the toilet so that they could actually flush the toilets and actually have water flush it. Like that would never happen at home.
Imagine knocking on, like, your neighbour's door, going down to, like, the supermarket for a
Yeah.
gallon of water so you could fill your toilet so you could flush.
That just wouldn't happen. And like just crazy like little things like that. I feel like it just makes the experience, although it was like I was saying slightly traumatic at the time, thinking, oh my God, no one's gonna be able to go to the toilet, they're not flushing. It's just funny the next day to think about it.
It's funny tales to tell, isn't it? And it's like we
It
said, it's
is.
definitely something you'd do at camp, but you would never do at home.
No. And talking about the storms and like weather and things as well, like until my first summer being at camp, I never, even like being on holiday previous of times, ever checked the UV. But because the girls every single day will wake up and be like, what's the UV going to be today? What's the UV going to be? Because they want to know whether they can go during rest hour and tan, or like they want to know whether they're going to be running around and they're going to need to put sun cream on and stuff. Every single day they'll be asking what the UV is. And even the days where I was off and they didn't ask, I would find myself checking the UV every day when I'm at camp. But again, I know the UV is not going to be high here. I mean, it's practically sunset right now outside. There's no point in me checking the UV.
That's so funny. Like I am actually like an avid like when it hits April time, checker
Mm,
of the UV. I'm
mhm,
like, what's the UV outside? Can I get
mhm,
outside? Can I catch a tan?
mhm.
Like, is it going to be possible? But at camp, it's when you're checking the UV and it's like 9 and 10, and
Mm,
then you've got to think about like making sure the girls have got like all the water bottles, they've got sunscreen
yeah,
on like every hour
everything.
because they're out in the like in the sun all day. Whereas at
Mhm.
home, you've only really got yourself to think about, don't you? And
Yeah.
like if we're just like going out somewhere, you probably won't usually put sun cream on, but at camp, like you've got to put sun cream on all the time, or else you end up like a lobster.
I've had some serious burns, like, oh my God. And obviously, when it's hot, I'll still put sun cream on and I'll still manage to get really burnt, which is really, really annoying.
Like during orientation, who's the lifeguards and who's not, because the lifeguards are bright red during
Yeah.
orientation.
It's the cloudy days as well that get you, isn't it? Especially for the lifeguards. The cloudy days during orientation, they'll not put it on and then they'll be at the lake all day and stuff and they'll be standing round and the UV can still get you through the clouds and it reflects straight off the lake and then their faces end up bright red.
No, that is so true.
So I feel like we've covered a lot of topics. I mean, 90% of camp life and 90% of the things you do at camp are things you're probably not going to do at home. Like, it's just like living in an alternate universe sometimes, being at camp. And we could probably talk about a million other things, but I think we'll leave it there for today. So thank you very much for listening to this episode. And we will see you again next week on Monday at 5 p.m.